corruption? End police brutality? Buhari resign? End SARS? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When I remember Emeka, water run away my eye.
Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ruth, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. And if you're new here, I'm glad to have you here. Today we're discussing the topic EndSARS. As you can see, I'm not smiling because it's not actually a funny matter, and I'm very sure you'll be hearing about it all over the internet. If you're not Nigerian, read up more about it, but we'll try our best to explain what it is. So I have here with me
Big
AK.
What is EndSARS? What is the EndSARS thing?
I think the origin began when there was a shooting in Delta State of a guy by SARS. But prior to that, there have been ceaseless killings and a lot of atrocities, judicial killings by this particular group of policemen, and the government seems to have put a deaf ear to it. So I think people decided to bring it to the knowledge of the public.
So the EndSARS campaign began, I think, about 3 years ago, and it's basically a call to end police brutality in Nigeria. These people, they are called Special Anti-Robbery Squad. So their job is to protect the citizens from, like the name implies, armed robbers, hooligans and all that. So instead, they've been, over the years, they started extorting the youth especially, and the citizens, extorting money from them, killing them, and also, illegal detention over the years. So of course the youth are tired of these acts from the so-called police that are meant to protect the people. So, and that's the reason for the protest.
Okay. So yeah, if you don't know, they've ended, according to the government, they said they end SARS, and then 5 days later or 8 days later they brought something about SWAT. To me, it doesn't make sense. SWAT is just like if we were replacing the name SARS. So then the youth brought up another five agenda points. Yeah, agenda points. So do you guys think that this protest is more than EndSARS? Like, do you think even after the whole cancellation and we've seen that it's ended, do you think there is more to it, that the youth wants more? It's just not killing people.
The thing about the SARS changing of name or to SWAT or what the youth wants is, it's not about even like accepting what they want, like after they disbanded or dissolved or whatever English you are trying to use. SARS has been disbanded 4 times in 4 years. Like this year made it the 4th time. So this has been happening like for a long time. Like even the hashtag EndSARS. So even during the protest, even after they said they even disbanded, SARS were still extorting people on the road. They were still like brutalizing people. So people were still protesting for SARS police brutality or SARS brutality. SARS was still on the road. Even after they changed the name to SWAT, people were still saying SARS on the road. There was even, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, there was even like a big police commander or whatever that came, after this protest kind of went out of hand. All the commanders were coming out and to come and do stuff. Somebody took a picture. The 2 security behind him were wearing SARS cap. It's not even the SWAT cap, the SARS. So the thing there is that everybody knows that nothing has been done. You get? They just want to be like, they are just trying different ways to make everybody to be calm, and they should go about their corrupt daily businesses. But right now, people were not having it anymore. If you allow someone, if someone is slapping you every day, after like 2 weeks, it's going to become a punch. After like 1 month or 2 months, it's the kicks are going to get involved. By the time it becomes a year, weapons will get involved. And that's how SARS has been. This has been too long, since over maybe like 10, 15 years or something like that. So,
yeah. So, Mr. Vic, do you believe EndSARS is more than EndSARS?
Yes, from the very beginning, I think the government already got the message that this is not just about EndSARS. The youths were organized enough and they were thoughtful enough not to push the SARS is the main agenda. SARS is an umbrella term that covers every other thing in this. But what the youth wanted to see, they wanted to see a response from the government. Like AY and AK has rightly said, this started a long time ago in 2017, and from 2017 till now, we've had about EndSARS protests about 4 times here. So, but with the advent of social media and all that, you don't expect things like to just be swept under the carpet. So this is definitely more than EndSARS. If you see most of the hashtags on social media, people have been to add end bad governance in Nigeria, which should have been there from the very beginning. So if SARS is bad, it means the governance is bad. Yeah. So we have to start from the root of the problem, which is the governance. If the governance is fixed, then SARS will be fixed. And changing the name from SARS from SARS to SWAT is simply just going to, it's simply just like somebody telling me, I don't like the shirt you're putting on.
It's like a naming ceremony, like some people say.
Okay, now something about, you said like if you fix the SARS, you fix the government. The thing about this whole SARS brutality came to extreme. We should not forget that we already had like police brutality before. What they do, what the Nigerian police always do before is they were not, how will I put this? They didn't have the courage of the SARS people. The bribery was small. You bribe like even drivers, transport drivers bribe with like 100 naira. If you don't have maybe like particulars or something, you bribe with like maybe 1,000, 2,000. At least I can remember there was a time I was caught.
You have particulars.
Even that's SARS for you. So now, since Buhari entered now, SARS has been is like a department for Buhari. That's what a lot of people don't know.
I think I agree. Yeah.
SARS now is a department for Buhari. It's a tool. It's an operation tool. Because now what SARS does is that they oppress people, they keep people quiet. That is what military, that is the military regime. And that is the memo that a lot of us didn't get on time. We're like,
so are you trying to say we are like a military regime?
Yes.
Those guys under
exactly.
Yeah, to add to his point, sorry for cutting you short. I agree with the second point. SARS encapsulates or sums up everything you need to know about Nigerian government. Yeah? So which is oppression, extortion, intimidation. And the whole idea is to keep people poor, actually. So even an average youth, there is unemployment in Nigeria everywhere. An average youth who graduates from the university, for example, and can't get his dream job, but decides to become an entrepreneur. So the government don't want you to make it big. So SARS is there to keep you in check. So if you have an iPhone, where do you get the iPhone? So you must be wretched. Yeah? So they keep you in check, they extort money from you, they detain you, they discouraging you from, dreaming big. And at the end of the day, they oppress you. So that's what they want to do. And that's the reason why it's difficult for the government to end SARS.
Actually, with what you said, there was a guy that said something. He came on TV. It's like it's part of the police force, and he said, "Let's be serious. Let's agree with ourselves. How will a 30-something-year-old person or a 20-something-year-old person in Nigeria have a car?
Imagine.
Have a car, has a phone that is almost like 200-something thousand naira and something." And I'm like, if you go on YouTube. Just YouTube. Do you know how many YouTubers that is in the US that they tell you teenagers that they tell you that, oh, I'm 24 and I just bought my first house.
See.
And I'm like, in Nigeria, they expect that when you're 30, you're driving a car is a problem. They don't even want to know where you found that car. Probably it's even your parents' car in the first place. It might not even be your car. But they think it's a problem. They feel like you should not be able to achieve that because that is what happened in their time. Like, so you should not be able to achieve that. That is just, so they believe you're a criminal or they believe you're into Yahoo or all this kind of thing just because you have those things, which doesn't make any sense. And even me myself, even going back home, okay, actually I only went back home once, and I think part of the fear, the reason why my daddy doesn't want me to even come back home is because of this whole thing. Because when I'm going home, the first thing is hide your phone. I literally, one of my friends literally spoke to me that when we went back home, his friend was in the car who lived in Nigeria, was telling him that, oh, they are coming, hide your phone. And he was like, this is not even the latest phone, so why am I hiding my phone? He was like, you don't understand, hide your phone. And I'm like, why should I hide my phone? Because I'm in my own country, by the way, not outside the country. I should still hide my phone. Exactly. You wear nice clothes. Oh no, you look like a yahoo. Because I'm in dreads is the problem.
So
it makes you look irresponsible. It doesn't make any sense. Like, who does that? Because you look good is a problem.
The thing is, all those things are not even, like, how would I put it? It's not the reason. All those things are just like stupid reasons. There are other people. There are people that they will still see that. Okay, there are some people that will be like, okay, I know they use big phone now. I don't have phone. They say, okay, why you don't get money? Why don't you do your own? They will start someone's account. They will arrest someone and the person does not have money. Say, look at you. Why don't you have money? You know if you do your own.
So funny that when you carry that Yahoo thing is even funny, because there was a time that on my family group, not family group chat, but when they send us message, all this broadcast message, so like a mother figure was sending message, and I think she mistakenly sent it to me. She was telling all the children that, please, if you are carrying your laptop, carry receipt with it.
Come on. But from 2015, it became killing. They kill people anyhow because the federal government backs it. You get, so it's the military tool for people. You get, so that is why against the people. So that is why when people started this NSAS, if you were asking the question like, is it beyond the revolution stuff? So now the thing is, what happened with this recent NSAS protest is people were like, okay, we youths, the government is bad. You don't give us anything. Okay, we just want to even stay alive. We have created like an avenue for income for ourselves, which is like social media. So a lot of people were not really going with them Showore joining the NSAS protest for their revolution or whatever. So people were just like, we just want to NSAS. We want the people that are involved in this whole stuff to be prosecuted. But they never understood what was behind the tool that the SARS themselves stands for the government.
For the government. So anyways, I personally believe NSAS is more than just NSAS. I feel like there's more. After NSAS, I believe there's more to protest for. There's more to ask for, personally. So I'm not trying to support the people on the other side, that is the SARS or the police, women and men, but do you think actually, because I was listening to a radio, like a voice note, when a policewoman was talking about that she has been in the police force for like 18 years and her salary is like 50,000 naira, and I've been in the police force for 18 years, like just phantom it, like 18 years, and you've been collecting 50,000 naira. That's how much in naira in $110. That's $110, and you're a family woman, and she has 2 kids and something. Do you think the government is actually also pushing them to be extorting money from others because they feel like that's the only way to get money or to be successful?
My own thought is it's not an excuse for them to be killing civilians, because every sector, every worker, they are all underpaid in Nigeria. Doctors are severely underpaid. Teachers are underpaid. Civil servants generally in Nigeria, they are underpaid. What's the minimum wage in Nigeria? 18,000.
It's 39,000.
It's 39,000.
Yeah, I think so.
Just barely $60 or thereabouts.
No, I think it increased to. Was it 100,000?
No,
it's not 200,000. Okay.
Why?
No, they are fighting for 100,000.
That's barely
it's 39,000. Yeah.
So that's barely. So police also, they are underpaid. So it's like a symptom of. So in medicine, doctors are also they have corruption in the hospitals as well. So they find a means of transferring patients to. So they are private. So that's the symptoms of being underpaid as a doctor. So as a policeman, the symptoms of being underpaid is to oppress and extort. So I think the problem is coming from the government. It's not like, okay, we should use it as an excuse for them to be killing civilians. No.
We cannot excuse anybody for the ills in the society. You know, there has to be a reward for every crime committed.
Yeah.
So if you feel like as a police officer you are underpaid and then you feel like coming to extort maybe increase your salary, I think you need to be severely punished for that.
Yeah.
So instead, what they should do as well is, I think there is a rule in the forces, maybe they are not allowed to protest or something. There is a way they can present their matter to people at the top, saying, we are suffering here. And let's look beyond salary. I think welfare for workers is beyond salary. Where do they live? How do they get to work?
I heard they buy their uniforms by themselves.
Yeah, so what are the provisions for these people? If you're paying a policeman 50,000 naira in a month and he has a good house to live in, he has a boss that takes him to work.
Welfare is in
place, and then he's just getting 50,000 naira take home. That's a different thing compared to he's getting 50,000 and he has to feed his family, he has to pay his children's school fees and stuff like that. But like I said, nobody should be excused from
and the senator is collecting hardship allowance of like 10 million.
Wardrobe allowance.
No. Wardrobe, all this on newspaper. The one that was trending was like, people were like, come on, which one be hardship allowance? Every Nigerian is going through hardship.
No, you people are stressing them. Exactly, that's their hardship. Anyways, let's talk about the ones that happened recently, which was on the 20th. That was
Bloody Tuesday.
Black Tuesday.
Yeah, Black Tuesday. That was, in fact, I actually cried. I literally cried in the morning because I couldn't.
So the events on Black Tuesday, it's just like a confirmation that the government actually don't want to scrap the SARS or whatever. Yeah. So they are well informed about the atrocities being committed by the SARS, and they've shown over and over again that they support that. So what they are trying to say, stop protesting, we don't care about you, we don't care if you die or not, we are going to go, and to any extent to make sure we continue to hold the captive. So don't come and protest, and they've shown that, okay, they don't care about our lives.
We have to look at the event leading to what happened on Tuesday. Okay, people are aggrieved, they are protesting, and you feel like what you can do is to impose a curfew. And you impose a curfew, you give them how many hours to start going back home? 4 hours. Yeah, I mean, that's unheard of it. Okay, you come in the pretense that you are trying to protect them from hoodlums and thugs. Thank you very much for your concern, which you never had all these years. You understand? So Nigerian governments are abusing curfew. Yes, they are abusing it because in developed countries where there is rule of law, people actually follow the rule of law. Yeah. Curfew are only used in the events of maybe, like mostly in the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of countries and states use curfew to maintain calm in the situation. But despite the fact that people flout curfew or defy curfew, you still have to protect them. Yeah. Because it is their right as citizens to be protected. You can't just leave them to their own death simply because they defied curfew. Yeah. So killing is not the penalty.
To me, the one that amazed me was the fact that before that, whoever knows Lagos, the toll gate, Lekki toll gate, there's always lights around there. It doesn't just make sense. There is always lights. And how is the CCTV off? Why did you even carry the CCTV in the toll? Like,
the reality is that somebody has to be accountable, and that person is the government. You understand?
And none of them is ready to. They are pushing the.
Somebody has to account for those deaths. Scores of people dying.
According to the governor of Lagos State, actually there was no death. According to him, then he came back on Twitter. So Twitter has turned to our national broadcast. Thank you, do you know Twitter, for giving Nigeria a national. It has turned to our national TV because
if not for social media, like I believe over 100,000 people, or maybe 200,000 people, will have been killed nationwide. If not for social media. Just before this, do you know the amount of, like, on the first day of the protest, do you know the amount of protesters that were arrested, and we would have never heard of them again, and they would kill them?
So for us to round up now, what would you guys say to the government? Like, if you have some, like, if you are called into the room, what would you actually say to them?
What will you say to them?
So what I would say to, in a sane society, the governor of Lagos State should have resigned, the president of Nigeria should have resigned, and the vice president as well should have resigned, because these guys are in charge. Let's not deceive ourselves. They are responsible for the genocide in Lekki. They gave the order. They gave the order of to get rid of the CCTV. They gave the order of shutting off the lights, and they ordered the military against your own citizen. That's genocide, and they should resign. As we speak, the president has not spoken to the citizen, which is absolutely unbelievable. So they should resign. They are incompetent. They are stupid. And I'm not sorry to say that, because many young Nigerians have lost their lives. So I don't even care about it.
He said it's our children.
The fact is exactly what you said. The fact is the government, they are incompetent, and they are callous, because they don't have feelings for the plight of the people. So it's as simple as them resigning. You know, because if you cannot, because I believe that they don't have the capacity to handle the situation, and I believe there are better people to handle the situation. But even before we talk about resigning, I think there should be a legal sort of action for these people, because I'm more interested in how these lives should be accounted for. Yeah. Because I can imagine the pain and the agony the family will be going through right now. I saw some of the videos and pictures. I can't share them on social media because I can't even. In fact, it's disturbing. Yeah. And for a governor to come online and downplay the number of deaths and deny. And the reality is, people don't even have to die for us to take legal matters against this government. For every injury, for every blood that is shed, it has to be accounted for.
To the government. Nothing to say to the government.
So what about the protesters out there? Because we're Nigerians, but we're outside the country. So to those that are in the country right now, to the youth.
Okay, so what I'll say is, before I answer that question, this protest has been hijacked by the hoodlums sponsored by the government, you know, to take advantage, to, you know, damage things and damage properties and kill so many people. So for now, I'll urge the EndSARS true protesters to, you know, be safe for now, until when the organizers re-strategize and we know what next to do. But for now, I think it's better for us to prevent further innocent life being lost.
Safety first. Make sure you're safe. The situation down there is very, very barbaric. You know, they are looking for anybody to kill. So just stay safe. But let's continue with the social media agenda. Yeah. Most importantly, I would like to plead with our compatriots in the diaspora, including myself and you all, that let us push this agenda, because our brothers down there in Nigeria have done their best. Yeah. It's now like a war zone. The government is against these people. So I think they are looking up to us now to push this agenda, to keep it going. Protesting. So that when there is when calmness and normalcy returns to the situation, they can go back to the street and community focus if the government still don't respond.
I support what all they said, some, not all. in terms of like, even when we try and get youth to the political parties, try to vote, we have our job to get our voters card ready and vote. Don't just sit down in your house and be like, even if I vote, what's the point? Keep voting. There will be a day that it will show. Just get your own cards ready and keep sharing it online. Hashtag EndSARS and everything. That's all we can do for now. And may God help us all. And as a Christian, pray.
Peace and unity.
Pray. Pray sincerely. Whatever religion, call God into the situation. I believe He answers prayer. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a nice day. Bye.
Bye. Bye.